What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Sacred Cards. Today I'm coming at you with an update to my Nuvelle deck profile for February 2024. I've been spending a lot of time in the kitchen cooking with probably my favorite deck at the moment. I love the play style and have had so much fun working with the deck and testing new ratios. For those of you who are into the lore aspect, Nouvelle cuisine is an approach to cooking and food presentation in French cuisine. It's characterized by lighter, more delicate dishes with an increased emphasis on presentation. I'm constantly trying new things with the deck. I've had a 43 card variant, 58 cards, a 60 card variant, now, or back to 40. Now I've settled with a perfect 45 card build that I'm very excited to share with you. This restaurant works extremely well together. So with all that said, I'll go through the deck list and try and explain the cards as best I can. Let's get right on into it. As always, please forgive my French, but stick with me as I'm working on correct pronunciation. Starting off with the staff and cooks, we have 3 copies of Poissonnière de Nouvelle. This is one of your best starters. If it's normal or special summon, you can add a level 1 ritual monster or recipe card from your deck to your hand. It also has the ability to banish any number of recipe cards from your graveyard, special summon the same level ritual monster from your hand as the number you banished. Plus, if you tribute it for cost of a ritual summon, you can place it in the pendulum zone with the effect that if you control a ritual monster, target a monster on the field, special summon this card, then change that monster's battle position. This effect is really good for triggering the effect of your own ritual monsters so they can tribute the opponents to level themselves up. Next up for the cooks, we have 2 copies of Bouillabaisse de Nouvelle. If this card is special summon, you can excavate the top 5 cards of your deck, add a Nuvelle card. If this card is targeted by card effect or an attack quick effect, you can tribute itself and 1 attack position monster on the field for cost, then special summon a level 2 or 3 Nuvelle ritual monster from your hand or deck. For the level 2, I play 1 copy of Confira de Nouvelle. If this card is special summoned, you can destroy a spell or trap on the field, and just like Bouillabaisse, when this card is targeted by card effect or an attack quick effect, tribute itself and 1 attack position monster on the field, and special summon a level 3 or 4 Nuvelle ritual monster from your hand or deck. Next up, I'm playing 2 copies of Poilty de Nouvelle. When it's special summoned, you can draw a card. This one has the ability that when any monster on the field is targeted by a card effect or an attack quick effect, tribute a Nuvelle monster and 1 attack position monster on the field, and special summon a level 4 or 5 Nuvelle ritual monster from your hand or deck. Then we have the level 4, 2 copies of Foie Glacia de Nouvelle. Foie Glacia is very important for the deck because it helps manage the resources in the kitchen. If it is special summoned, you can target 3 cards in either graveyard, shuffle them back into the deck. Once again, when any monster on the field is targeted by card effect or an attack quick effect, tribute a Nuvelle monster and 1 attack position monster on the field. Special summon a level 5 or 6 Nuvelle ritual monster from your hand or deck. Now, one of my favorite cooks in the deck, we have 2 copies of the sous chef, Balaminière de Nouvelle. If this card is special summon, you can add a Nuvelle or recipe card from your deck to your hand, so it can basically search the whole archetype. This card has the ability to target an attack position monster your opponent controls, tribute it, then special summon 1 level 6 Nuvelle ritual monster from your hand or deck. This is a quick effect if it was special summoned by the effect of a Nuvelle monster. Now for the head chef of this 5-star restaurant is 1 copy of Belgril de Nouvelle. Belgril is the head chef for good reason. When this card is special summoned, it negates the effects of all monsters your opponent controls. Then, if this card was summoned by the effect of a Nuvelle monster, you can tribute as many monsters your opponent controls as possible. It also has a quick effect to tribute an attack position monster your opponent controls, and if you do, special summon Hungry Burger from your hand or deck. Speaking of everyone's favorite dish, 1 copy of this beautiful collector rare Hungry Burger. This card is essential to play, especially when paired with our special recipe trap card, which I will get into when we get into the spells and traps. Next is some more ritual support. I play 2 copies of Cyber Angel Benten. This card has so much synergy for the deck as it's perfect for tributing costs that can instantly replace itself with its own effect. If this card is tributed, you can add a light fairy monster from your deck to your hand, including our copies of Diviner or a copy of itself. Speaking of Diviner of the Herald, I play 3 copies of Diviner. Diviner has the effect that if it is summoned, a fairy monster, or if it is summoned, send a fairy monster from your deck or extra deck to the graveyard, then it gains the level of that monster sent, bringing it up to usually a level 6, which is perfect for this deck. Usually we're going to send a copy of Herald or Elder Entity from the extra deck to get you a search of a ritual monster or spell, or destroy a card on the field with Entis. Another reason I like this card is because if it is tributed, you can special summon a level 2 or lower fairy monster, so you can get access to your copies of Poissonnaire to get you another search for any missing combo pieces you might need. A really powerful tech that again has great synergy with the deck. And to complement this package is 1 copy of Cyber Petite Angel. To be honest, this is a placeholder for Sakitama. I've been meaning to get myself a copy, but this works just fine for now, as when it is summoned, you can add a copy of Ben 10 from your deck to your hand. And now for the hand traps, I'm just running 3 copies of Ash Blossom. You can definitely change this out for Droll, as it's better for the format right now. I just wanted to go with something more generic for the sake of the profile. It's a good all-around hand trap to stop your opponent's searches or draw power. Well, that's it for the monsters. Now on to the spells, starting off with the venue itself. 3 copies of Nouvelle Restaurant. This card is amazing. I love the artwork, absolutely beautiful. I'm working on a playset of collector rares, but I've only been able to obtain 1 so far. 2 more to go. I love this deck, so max rarity is a must for me. When this field spell is activated, you can add a recipe card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. You can place a ritual monster from your hand to the bottom of the deck to draw a card. Plus, during the end phase, you can target a recipe card and any other card in the graveyard, place them on the bottom of the deck, draw a card. This is great for recycling your recipes, copies of Head Chef, Hungry Burger, or any other cards you want. Really good for draw power and managing your resources. And once you've arrived at the restaurant, you need a menu. 3 copies of Voici la carte, aka today's menu. You present your opponent by revealing 2 Nouvelle monsters with different names from your deck. They pick one for you to add to your hand, shuffle the other back into the deck. Then whether the card added was a warrior, add a copy of Meat Recipe, or Beast Warrior, you can add a copy of Fish Recipe. Now that your opponent has seen the menu, it's time to pull out the recipes. For this deck, the perfect ratio for me is 2 copies of Recette de Poisson, Fish Recipe. You can definitely bump this card up to 3 copies if you like, as it's not once per turn, but it's easy to recycle and search. You can use this recipe card to ritual summon your Nouvelle monsters, although if you special summon Bouillabaisse with your copy of Fish Recipe, you can add a copy of Meat Recipe from your deck to your hand. And the other ritual spell I play is 1 copy of Recette de Viande, Meat Recipe. Meat Recipe has the same effect, except when you special summon Confira, you can change all defense position monsters your opponent controls to attack position, which is really good for this deck because we want them in attack position so we contribute them for cost. Now that we have our meals going, sometimes there's conflict in the kitchen, which is why we play 2 copies of Concours de Cuisine, aka Culinary Confrontation. This card lets you choose 1 Nouvelle Pendulum monster and 1 Pâtissier Pendulum monster from your hand, deck, or extra deck. Special summon 1 monster to each side of the field. Usually you summon Poissonnaire to your side of the field to get its search effects, then Passiel to your opponent's side of the field. If I'm going first, I like to put this card in their extra monster zone to block them or force them to use it. This card also has the ability that during the main phase you can banish this card from the graveyard, increase the attack of one of your monsters by 200 points for each recipe card in the graveyards. This can really help you attack over problematic monsters or attack for a game. Next, for more ritual search support, I play 3 copies of Pre-Preparation of Rites. Pre-prep is good because it lets you add a ritual spell from your deck, then add a ritual monster listed in its text to get a copy of Fish Recipe along with your copy of Bouillabaisse, or Meat Recipe along with your copy of Confira. Being able to search 2 cards from your deck to your hand is just really good in my opinion, so trying to max out on that. Following that, more searchers in 3 copies of Preparation of Rites. Preparation of Rites is also really good because it's not once per turn, and you can add any ritual monster from your deck to your hand, then you can add a ritual spell from the graveyard back to your hand. Really good to search the meals you want to make and recycle your recipes. Now, a new card I've been testing is 2 copies of Forbidden Chalice. Now, don't roast me in the comments just yet. I've also been working with Enemy Controller, which really synergizes with the deck as well, but I like Chalice because it can target any card on the field to negate their effects, or you can target your own monster to trigger its effect to tribute an opponent's monster and level up your ritual monsters. Before we get to the traps, I am also playing 1 copy of Called by the Grave. Just an all-around really good card to have access to as you do a lot of searching, activating monster effects, and it's just really powerful in any matchup, so it makes sense to play it. Next we're going into the traps, starting off with 1 copy of this beautiful collector rare Chef's Special Recipe. 1 copy is all you need, as there are multiple ways to search this card, and it's easy to recycle from your graveyard with the Restaurant Field spell. Chef's Special Recipe is a counter trap that when a spell trap or monster effect is activated while you have a Nuvelle ritual monster, you can negate that effect, then you can destroy that card if you control a monster that was special summoned by the effect of a Nuvelle monster. It also has the ability that if Hungry Burger is special summoned, you can banish this card from the graveyard, tribute as many monsters your opponent controls as possible. And finally, the last card in the main deck is 1 copy of Recette de Personnel, Staff Recipe. Staff Recipe is really good as a 1-of. It can target a ritual monster you control and special summon a Nouvelle token, level 1 with 50 attack and defense. This token's level becomes the level of the monster you targeted. It's really good for triggering your ritual monster's effect. It also lets you send this card from your spell trap zone to ritual summon a monster from your hand by tributing monsters from your hand or field that equals the level of the monster you want to summon. Now that is it for the main deck. Moving on to the extra deck. The extra deck can play a lot of whatever you like, but there are a few cards that I consider to be essential. One of them being 2 copies of Pâtissier Couverture. This is a really good target to send. It pairs well with your copies of Culinary Confrontation. I like having 2 in case I open more copies of Confrontation. Usually you'll be giving this card to your opponent so you can get the effects of your copies of Poissonnaire. Next, I like to play 2 copies of Elder Entity Entis. This is a really good target to send off your copy of Diviner. Elder Entity, if it is sent to the graveyard, you can destroy a problematic card on the field while increasing your Diviner's level to 6, making it great tribute fodder for your ritual summons. And another target for Diviner is 2 copies of Herald of the Arclight. If Herald is sent, you can add a ritual monster or ritual spell from your deck to your hand. You can just as well synchro summon this card to negate and destroy a spell, trap, or monster effect. And the other two synchro monsters I play is one copy of F.A. Dawn Dragster and one copy of Baron de Fleur. Dragster is nice because it gains attack equal to its level times 300. It inflicts piercing battle damage. It also has the ability that once per turn you can decrease its level by 2 to quick effect, negate a spell, trap, or effect your opponent controls, and destroy that card. Baron can also be made with your copies of Diviner as a negate for your opponent and to destroy cards on their field. Just an all-around really good card to have access to. Next are the Link monsters, and the only one I find really essential is 2 copies of Dynamondo. I would not play less than 2 of this card. 2 definitely comes up in this deck. It's an insanely good card. I absolutely love its effect that if it is special summon, you can target a card on the field and 1 ritual monster in the graveyard, shuffle them back into the deck. It also has the ability as follow-up that during your opponent's turn, quick effect, tribute this card, then target a ritual monster in your graveyard and either special summon it or add it to your hand. Now, another great boss monster you can make with this deck is 1 copy of Nepotes, the Sacred Flame. It also requires a ritual monster for its summon, but it gains these effects based on the number of ritual monsters used. 1+, it can't be destroyed by battle. 2+, it can't be destroyed by card effects, and it gains 1200 attack. And if you use 3, it can't be targeted, plus it gains another 1200 attack, bringing it to a whopping 4800 attack. Really good for putting up some big attack power while having total protection. And another Link monster that provides a lot of utility is 1 copy of Salamandrate Almirage. Almirage is a great option to have because you can make it with your normal summon of Poissonnaire or Diviner. The nice thing about this card is you can use its quick effect to target your ritual monster, which can then trigger its effects to tribute your opponent's monster for cost and level up into another chef. And a really good Link monster to consider playing is 1 copy of Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep is good to have access to because for this deck, if you ritual summon to a zone it points to, you can draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards. And if you synchro summon, you can have all monsters you control gain 700 attack. And finally, rounding off the extra deck, I have 1 copy of IP Masquerena and 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn. IP is here for going into your copy of Unicorn. With IP, you can link summon, and during your opponent's turn to make Unicorn, and use its effect to shuffle back a card your opponent controls into the deck while having it protected by destruction effects. Well, that is it for the deck profile. I really hope you enjoyed it. If there's anything you like or don't like, please leave me a comment telling me what you think. Be sure to like the video if you did and subscribe for more content. Thank you for your support and always enjoy the Sacred Cards. See you all in the next one.